Last week, there was the United Nations General Assembly. Even when the President of the United States of America was insulting everybody, African leaders sat there. But when their fellow African head of state is talking, they are busy doing other things. Who cast us? Who bewitched us? These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask here. We have been too nice to each other for too long. The net effect is that if you go into any African environment and you ask young men and women, do you want to leave Africa? 9 of them want to run away. That is why they are dying in the Mediterranean Sea. That is why they are dying off the coast of Senegal. That is why they are being humiliated at embassies. You go to the embassy of any Western country in any African country and you'll see the humiliation. They ask you, even your great-great-grandmother who died long before you are conceived as an idea. Those are the circumstances in which we find ourselves. On average, many of you who are present here, allow me to be morbid, in the next 40 years you'll be upstairs. The question is, what are you leaving for your children and children's children? These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask. And these questions must be answered by Nigeria primarily. I've said not once, not twice, but times without number, that the day Nigeria wakes up, that is the day Africa wakes up. And those of you who have had occasion to travel, you go to different parts of the world, you look for the best doctors, Nigerian. Look for the best engineers, Nigerians. Look for some of the best lawyers, Nigerians. The Nigerians are everywhere doing great things across the continent of Africa. And whenever Nigeria has decided to provide leadership, Africa has changed. You ask the Liberians with ECOMOG. When Nigeria stood up, that country was stabilized. When there was mischief in Banjul in the Gambia, and Nigeria stood up, that country was stabilized. When Nigeria did not do as well as she should have done in the Sahel, the problem is not stabilized. The question is, why is Nigeria a reluctant leader? When Nigerians say, and they debate with South Africa, and sometimes with Egypt, which is the biggest of the economies, I laugh. I laugh because the economies that they are talking about using the unreliable GDP, but we must use it, is that Nigeria is 500 billion USD GDP with a population of over 200 million. Singapore, which is smaller than Lagos, with a population of 6 million, has a GDP of 564 billion. So the debate between Nigeria and Egypt and South Africa is a debate between two dwarfs as to which one is the taller of them. Even if one is taller than the other, they are still dwarfs. The day that I will celebrate Nigeria is the day Nigeria tells me we are 2 trillion economy. And Nigeria can achieve it. And Nigeria must achieve it. What does Nigeria not have? Is the oil that is produced in Nigeria different from the oil that is produced in Saudi Arabia? Is it different than the oil that is produced in Kuwait? That is produced in Bahrain, that is produced in Qatar? Why must Nigeria not be the leader that has pipelines across the continent of Africa? Why can she not do it? She can. But we have allowed ourselves to be paralyzed by analysis and to be paralyzed by lamentation. It is your own kinsman, Chinua Achebe, who said that adversity is a problem of humanity, but we must never allow ourselves to be the victims or the agents of adversity. We must allow ourselves to be the conquerors of adversity. Chinua said, and I remember so very vividly in 1983, when Chinua Achebe wrote the little book, The Trouble with Nigeria, and he simply said that the problem with Nigeria, and he there said the rest of Africa, is simply and squarely one of leadership. And his leadership at all levels. Many times we think that politics is the only site of leadership. No. Leadership is at all levels. Why can't you, if you've run this beautiful club for 82 years and run it well, why can't that be upscaled and replicated in every other sector of Nigeria? Why? Why is it that in this micro environment, you do not care who is who in this club? Everybody has a sense of esprit de corps, a sense of camaraderie. You do not care from which ethnicity you come from. But when you want to run the club that is Nigeria, you now talk tribe, you now talk religion. Why? These are the uncomfortable questions that you must confront, because if you do not confront them, then Nigeria and Africa will continue to punch below her weight. I was at an African university, and at that university they said that their greatest desire was that they wanted to be like Harvard and Cambridge. And I said, why do you want to be like Harvard? Why do you want to be like Cambridge? Why can't you not just be you? One of the things that we Africans must do is to exercise the ghost of low self-esteem and to wear the spirit of self-belief. The day we do that, that is the day that Africa will begin to grow. I'm asking you who are shakers and movers, shake those who are in government. Honorable Governor, Deputy Governor, ask yourself, 20 years from today, when you are no longer governor and history is written about you, what will they say? What will they say of your watch? What did you deliver? What did your administration deliver? History is harsh. It passes verdict that is without emotion. I'm asking all of us who are present here to ask those uncomfortable questions. We are talking at a time when we are talking about the Africa Agenda 2063 and Africa Continental Free Trade Area. What are we going to trade in if we are not manufacturing? A friend of mine, former military general, as we were moving, for some reason he said about electricity, that electricity in Nigeria is epileptic. And it is epileptic indeed. Not only in Nigeria, everywhere. There is not a single place that you travel to Africa in today and you are in a hotel room, within 1 hour electricity has gone. Electricity is not rocket science. But for some reason, we are unable to supply stable electricity. Who cast us? Who bewitched us? That we cannot do what must be done. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it ought to be celebration. But how can I speak the language of a wedding at a funeral?